So to create log for the setup, enable this option, check yes, click on OK. Then other informations, title, website, icon, etc. you can fill in the screen. We will go for that one concepts next. Yeah, so this is a main screen where like while installing you can allow user to select features like and features can have components. So it is like feature is the parent and component is a child kind of. So currently our setup is having three features kind of. One is we can say OPEM website, then OPEM response listener, then a feature called OPEM services. So now three features created. So now we need to associate component to the feature. So for that we need to create components. Let components. I'm going to create three components. One is OPEM website. Let's name it website. Anything. Or component OPEM. Yeah, component. And a component should associate to a feature. OPEM response listener. New component OPEM services. Now done. Now we have features and components. Now to associate component to a feature, go to setup design, select feature. Actually from features also you can see feature list, but here you cannot associate a component to a feature. So go to setup design, select a feature, right click, associate components, select the component. OPM setup. If you see right click, associate component, the component which is not associated to your feature will show alert symbol. Associate component services. Done. Now we can architecture the directory like under so currently setup will be installed here, right? Your SF80 under your product name. Under that if you want your website in particular folder and services in particular folder and this like, so you can configure like that. So for that go to files and folder. So this is your setup design, program files folder. Under your product name, this is install directory. So here you can create folders. So I'm creating one folder. One is like OPM application and new folder OPM response listener and more folder OPM services. And if you see like services, I have many services, right? So I can create folders under this like uh, email blasting service and email personalization service. So like a number of services I can create here. Yeah, it will come under this. So now we created we need to define this in component. Okay, so now we create this associated like other components will create, so just delete those components, we don't need that. Again services we have many, right? So we can create component for each service. So I'll delete this on OPM services component. I'll create for each service like right click, new component, email blasting service, new component, email personalization service. So now these two are not associated to component, so go here, If you see, these are all having component. Add a associate component, email blast, associate component, email personalization. Again, go back to components. Now we can set the directory. This component is referring to which directory? OPM website, so destination, select this one, choose. So this is our product name. Here, OPM application. Okay. Features will just associate a component. See, this feature services is having, yeah, you can have more than one component associated to a feature. OPM response listener. Okay, now OPM website we associated, and destination is this one. Response listener, choose, go here, OPM response listener. Okay, and email personalization, here, choose this folder under services personalization. Okay, email blast, this one, choose, go this, OPM services, email blast. Okay, done. So now we have added site responses in a personalization blasting. Now in my desktop I have set up directory uh, where I have three folders. One is application, which is having published OPM website contents, and I have a response listener. I have published response listeners content, and I have services which have all the services published one. After publish, after building, yeah, when you build services, we saw right OPM services setup, which has all the projects. If you go to right click, open each and every project, you will see bin directory. Inside bin debug directory, you will find these files. So copy all the files, so which will be required for the services. In this, if you see there we have given assembly name, right? So you need to remember which is the assembly file. So email blasting service is the assembly file, and this is the config file. So now we are going to add these files into the setup. You can add files in two ways. You can add in two ways. So first we will see Astosh. First we will see here OPM website files. Right click, add a file. This is one option. This means which will add files. Each file will have a source, physical source where it is file exists. This is one way. And like using this add file feature, like you cannot add folders. Folders cannot be added. So to add folders, again go to this other option, dynamic file linking. So select dynamic file linking, new link, click on browse. In desktop I have that setup folder. In that I have application. Application have folders and files, right? So I click on OK. So now here untick the, like now this under this folder, whatever folder files is there will be added into the component. So include subfolders you need to check. This is unchecked self register, and you need to uncheck best practice components. Otherwise what will happen, like for each and every file what you're adding, system will dynamically generate components here based on the file types. So we don't need, we already created components, right? We don't need that. And include all files, click on OK. That's it. So dynamic linking is added, click on OK. Now if you see files is having all the folders files, everything is added. So website, so related website, so this is option done. Then go for response listener. So for website, from component, that's it. So there is no other action from component. Same goes for response listener also. Go to files, right click, dynamic file linking, new link, browse, desktop, setup, response listener, OK. Okay, that's it. Apply. Okay, so files added for responses not a file. And we are adding services, right? So for services, some one tricky part is there. What you need to do, go to files, same way, like new link, browse, desktop, setup, services. This is email personalization. I'm selecting email personalization. Okay, great. Okay, if you do, you'll get all the files, right? And we know which is the assembly file. This is the assembly name. You need to set this as a key file, as we are going to create services for this component. This component is a Windows service, right? So if you are creating services for a component, the component should have one key file. So okay, through dynamic linking you cannot create key file. So what you need to do, again you need to right click, add file, add that assembly file alone manually. Services personalization, this is the application file, it will it will replace the existing dynamic linking with the physical path. Now if you right click, you can set a key file. If you see dynamic linking, you cannot set a key file. So right click, set key file. You see the key symbol is coming, which means it has key file. Then go to advanced settings, services. ah, Service, we'll see. Uh, Expand this advanced settings in the email personalization component. Click on services, right click, add a service. Hmm? Yeah, add service. So here, this text will be the service name. So whatever, like OPEM hyphen email hyphen personalization, kind of you can give. And here the key name is for setup to recognize, so the setup to process services. So you can give same name, but it should not have any special character. So give OPM email personalization. And display name is, if you open services where you will see display name, right? So that you can give OPM same name or whatever preferred, personalization. Description goes same. Whenever, see, if I add a strings input, it will create id string file, right? This and all will be stored in a string editor table. String editor, you can see over here. See over here in string editor, it will be stored. We will see one by one, so service is added, that's it. So now we can set the service configurations. Start type, whether it should be automatic, manual, disabled, about install on failure. If like during installation, if service throws any error, so whether to abort the installation or not. So we'll make it as S. Any dependencies, username, password, permissions if you need. And events is the an option. Like after installation, what is the event you need to do? Like operation type, installation start, yes, install stop, kind of events you can add. So obviously our assembly we added here, right? In files, if you see, this assembly holds a installer class. Installer class has a custom action, that is install events, which can be called. Yeah, done, but we are not calling, right? How we are calling? We are calling through this event. This event will be called there, like during installation the custom action is called. Here we are calling from here, custom action is called from here. Hmm. Class name, yeah, the assembly name. Okay. uh, so this is done. Services. So services, right? That's it. Go to files. Again, same goes for email blasting. Files, dynamic linking, new link, browse, desktop, setup, services, email blasting. Okay. assembly name, assembly file manually, mail blasting. This is the assembly file. Added, set as a key file. Advanced settings, services, right click, add a service, OPEM hyphen email hyphen blasting. So key name OPEM email blasting. Key name should not contain any special characters. Yep. Sort of automatic, I think same. And install failure, about control events, add a new event. So operation time, install start. Okay. So that's it. We added two services. Thanks. Huh? Which name? Which name? Key name. Yeah, I said. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So now services added. Huh? Then if you go to files and folders, you can see that here. If you see, we created folder. The component is locating to this path, right? So we can see the files added here. Responses, services, email blast, and you can see which is the component associated for the file. Done. I'll skip to services. If you see, same things where you saw in components, right? Services will be listing here. Same property screen. Now IIS. IIS, here you can create application pool. So first we will create application pool. Add application pool. Giving app pool name as max demo app. Let's go pool component. Let it create a app pool component. So no need of mark as permanent. Existing, if app pool while installing, if it is already existing, we will overwrite it. And here we can choose the .NET version 4.0. Enable 32-bit application. Set it as S as we require for our application. Idle timeout set to 0. Let it be unlimited. And time interval set to 0. So that's it. So app pool is created. So you can see for app pool name also id string is created. Id string 7 app pool created. Now go to websites. So to add website, IIS is already having default website. So you need to create with the same name. DEFAUL default website. And so like don't do anything to this, like just create on default website, right click, add application. Suppose if your IIS is hosted with many other websites, so you can add that site name and you can do that. So but we need to find out like a way to identify this one, but currently so far what I have figured out is this option. That's all. Yeah, if it is not there it will be created, if it is there in under this it will be added. So that's it. So add application, so we are adding maxim demo. This is our site actually. Now we need to associate that published one to here, right? That component. So component you go select OPM website component, open. Here you can set ASP.NET version, platform 86 64-bit 32-bit set, default document, content source. You need to check where is the content source. So it is here, OPM application. This is the content source file, right? Then read write access. Yeah, we can change. Obviously, like already our web config file we have set the default document. So either there or here you can say. Here comes the tricky part, like the application pool. You need to select. So here select, you will get the string table. So here, if you go here, if you see ours is id string 7, right? So come over here, so you select apple. In this, if you go down, you will find the id string 7, id string 7 maximum apple. Select and ok, is added. Mime types, for fonts and all we have mime types, right? We can add mime types, extension and type. Session timeout, we can set it here. Script timeout, permissions, etc., anonymous, etc. So this is how we add service website. Likewise, we are adding maximum response listener demo. So component, choose that response listener component, open .NET version, same goes, you can check. Platform as 32-bit, write access, yes. Contents 32, yeah. Content source path, choose PM response listener, okay. Write access apple, you can choose the same apple for this, okay, etc. You can configure, that's it. So that's all about adding offset. Now we'll see adding we'll see string editor before going into the string editor. So this is where, like, whatever strings we added, so it will add as a new value into the table. You can see string 7 max pool, that features and all we added, right? Then dialogues. Now if you want to add your custom dialogues into the screen, so right click, add a new dialog, blank dialog, finish. So just give prefix hyphen page 1. I created page 1. Now you need to design, so click on this one. So this is for editing controls and their events, this is for designing. Click on this one, you will get design. Your controls are over in the top, these are all the controls you can add. So I'm going to add on input button edit field. I need to give a property name. I'll give license key. It's a key. And same way I can add text in text, and I can add buttons. So this one push button, I'll call and rename it complete like this one. I'll rename to btn underscore next, and the text is next in ext. And see here, show UAC sealed icon field true is there, right? If you set this true, that UAC icon will show, which means if you want to run under admin privilege, it will show UAC pop up, right? So that icon will show here. So yeah, you can always set it to false if you don't need that. btn underscore previous, so set it to false, and text is previous. Then btn underscore cancel, text is cancel. That's it, we added these things, right? Now go to behavior. Now we have 3 buttons and 2 controls added. Now this into user interface. Now go to custom action and sequence, user interface, installation user interface, sequence. This is a sequence. So in this order setup will flow. Mm, yeah, default. It's kind of template, default template they used for setup. So here insert the you can insert custom actions during like solved. So we are inserting dialogues now. Page one. Okay. So now this screen we need to show after welcome screen before setup progressing. So to move down, right click, move down, shift control shift down. So control shift down. Came here. So now if you see page one is after maintenance welcome screen, right? Before setup progress. So obviously, so after maintenance will come, page one will come. Page one for previous is maintenance will come. Next is setup progress. So in control, previous next button control, I need to set these screens. Click on previous, go to maintenance will come. Click on next, go to setup progress. So again go back to dialogues, page one, behavior, previous button. So previous button, here you add the event. Click on previous, click on this button, these events will be called in order. So new dialog, here you select that maintenance will come dialog, and on screen you can validate condition like if this true, then this argument will be processed. Maintenance will come, and here you can add conditions like if this property is true, if this is greater than less than, any condition you can meant here. So by default if you give 1, so it will call. So you can see you can see set to true if you want to have install a trigger event under any circumstance. So we're calling this is previous button, right? Yeah. Click on next button. So click on next button. What is the custom action? Setup progress. So go back to dialogues. Click on next. New dialog argument. Setup progress. Condition is 1. True. True. Yeah. So click on cancel. We need to cancel setup. So we need to know what is the event for cancel, right? So go back to dialogues here only. You can see other screens also will have cancel setup, cancel option. So let's check admin welcome screen behavior, cancel button is there. So they are saying call this event spawn dialog, argument is cancel setup. Same we will do over here. Spawn dialog, what is that? Cancel setup, right? Cancel setup, condition is 1, any circumstance. Correct? Correct. So that's it. So we set the behavior for each button. So that's it. Now let's see how to add custom action. Here you can add your custom actions. Suppose during the installation from any screen, if you want to call a DLL file, so you can add a custom action. So right click, new managed code. If you want to call shop library, class library, so you need to call new managed code. You can either choose like install with product, or you can obviously like when you're referring, so it should be inside product, right? So install with product now. So it will add new custom action one. You can change the name. So before that we need to add DLL into product. is created. See, if you copy pasting for this, you see components will be created for each. So this is under auto generated components. Yeah. If you want to create specific document, then component you can do. So go back here. Now after adding, if you double click, it will show over here. Agree and click on this one. You can call a function. So double click. If you know class method, type, but preferred way is click on browse, and so it is always preferred to create a static class and static functions. So I have created one class, static class, which has static function, which is a string function, the function which returns string and takes string as input. So whatever input you are going, that will be returned as a string. Simple function. So click on OK. Done. So now here you're calling input, right? So here you can pass the values. See, license key I have created input value. So that dialog I can pass as input. And if you have any other output values, like I created some text boxes or any other value, so for that I can return license key. Suppose if the same screen is having any other text control, for that I can return. So for validations I can do kind of things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now custom action is created. Now we need to call this from the sequence. So installation. Now go back to dialogues. Dialogues. Now screen. I'll add one more button here. This button text is validate kind of. Validate. So now for this button, click on this button. I need to call the custom action. Now go to behavior, btn validate, events, do action event. If you click on this one, you will get that arguments, new custom action. Click on true. So whenever this button is clicked, that time this custom action will be called. So here we have the control and it will do. Now I will add one more label, more text box under license result. Yeah, return value. So this is license key, this is license result. This is set to false. Now license result added behavior. Now I will go back to again custom actions, edit this again, license key I'm passing, returning I'm returning to license result, another text box. Okay, done. Go back to dialogues again. So this is the thing we are doing now. There is a issue, like when I click on validate, I'm fetching value from this dialog from this text box. I'm displaying in this using a custom action. Custom action cannot refresh the dialog screen. So for that, what we need to do, we need to clone this page. Right click, clone. So page 1 again cloned. So if you see here, everything is same, like everything will be same. Now click on validate. What I need to do, I need to loop the dialogues. So first I will do this action. Suppose if I'm in page 1, first obviously we will be in page 1. Go to behavior, click on validate. I will do this action and I will show new dialog. New dialog is page 11. Next, that page. From page 11, validate. I will show new dialog is page 1. So this is looped now. So click on validate either both. So both are having same control, same property, everything. Huh? So this is done. Click on save. Looped. Okay, let's see the result. So that's all done. Build. Click on build. Download the data. I'll check is it recording. Okay, I'll open project name 13. I'll check is it recording. Okay, then configuration, release, disk images, disk 1, setup. Okay, run the setup. Yes. Okay, is the trial version. Let's see. Next, accept, next, next. You see, you'll see custom on complete. If you see custom, you'll see the features. Actually, we forgot to rename the features. Uh, so these are the features. You can disable feature. So everything is associated to feature, right? Once you disable, whatever related to that will not be processed. The files will not be copied. The services will not be installed if it is. It's kind of next install. We got this. Now let's see whether it's working or not. Validate. Oh, okay. So it was not properly done, but that was the procedure to uh, looping and doing custom action on the screen. We will so that's the way to create setup. So for time being, we will remove that dialog. We'll see how this services of setup is installing. So go to custom action sequence. So user interface. We will delete this. Okay, we can add that setup progress, right? Okay, if I close it will save. No, but from beginning I didn't save. Yeah, I guess it saved. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it saved. Okay. Custom action sequence based on setup progress. Okay, okay, so highlight build release one. Okay, this directory is open, so close it. Build release one. So whatever I have explained, so these are all the things so far I have figured out. So hereafter, like in more like calling that custom action sequences, handling uninstall, so all those things still we need to figure out. Okay, so build done. These everything screens can be customized, all the screens. If you see, it will show the status here. It will show like copying files, creating application pool, deploying site, maximum responses. It will show. Yeah. Mm. Actually, I figured out that way of like refreshing dialogues, but maybe some other way, like within single dialogue only, we can refresh and show kind of. Need to find out. Hmm. 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 Yeah, even this here progress we are showing it is based on the, yeah, yeah, it's showing app pool creating, which means the screen is getting refreshed from backend, right? So creating virtual directory, starting services, done. So if you see, go back here under this program files, sfit creator. Actually this like previously tested, so it is there. Application is configured, deployed, response listener deployed, Windows services. Actually this and all like existing already data, so that is also is there. mm, and if you go to services, mm, OPM personalization and blasting, two is there. Running, both are started running, and right, that's it. So close, that's it, we'll end the session now. I'll just go through one more time on install shield what we did. We created features, three features. We created components, which is email blasting for services, personalization for services, response listener, website components, and we went back to setup design. We associated components to the features. Then in components we added files, like we added for website we added dynamic links, we created dynamic linking. For services we did the same, we added dynamic linking. And to add a key file, I forgot to explain this one, right? Why we are setting key file, right? So a component, in a component, if you are having a Windows service added, so it will look for a key file to install service. So obviously our assembly file is a Windows service file, right? Exe file. So this should be set as a key file. So it will recognize, setup will recognize this component key file is the assembly for service. So we added services, key files, setup, files and folders. Here we created directories, supporting file added. Then in IIS we created Apple, we created website, under that applications, dialogues we created, dialogues controls adding, and how to refresh dialog from custom action. So in custom action we created a custom action, how to add a DLL, how to call a function, how to set properties, return property. So in dialogues we saw how to call the custom action, and in sequence how to add. So that's all. I will finish the session.